Welcome, chamber music lovers, for preparation period for another concert of the Unpulsed Chamber Music Concert Series. We are here now with our wonderful Marioara Trifan, conductor, pianist, and she's now helping us prepare the concert number 8. And it's based on the two pieces. That one is Robert Schumann's Frau liegen und leben, another one is Maurice Ravel's Sans Mélodie Populaire Grecque. Thank you very much, Marioara.
Great pleasure to be here.
And I'd like to ask you, first of all, you have an amazing background. How do you see chamber music fitting into your collection of
Chamber
music?
music is one of the great pillars of musical culture. So any participation in chamber music is yet a further enrichment. You know, no man is an island. And playing chamber music just adds so much to everything.
And how do you see this chamber music with text? In the case of making music, chamber music with singers, how does this differ from the other areas of music for singers, for example, from opera, from oratorio? How is this different? A piano and a singer?
Well, it's all the same kind of musical expression, whether it's opera or whether it's lied, which is a much more intimate form. Oratorio, of course, is much more sacred with the sacred texts. You just have to kind of reduce it. It's distilled. You have to distill the music, and always put the text, just as an opera, the text out front.
Oh, it would be wonderful if all our collective opera singers also thought maybe of opera sometimes in this aspect, because it's so highly important to sing opera as well, thinking about this, the poem aspect of it.
It is indeed, you know, they say prima le parole, poi la musica.
Prima la musica, poi le parole.
Yeah, but it's actually
yeah, exactly.
the way around. The libretti were always written before the music was composed, as in the case of these songs that we're performing in this concert.
And actually about these songs, what do you feel is special about these two pieces?
Well, they're very different from each other, both of these cycles. And they are incredibly beautiful, and this is why they are eternal. The text by Camiso is, we would see it as being very old-fashioned. But these poems that he wrote, and he was a very, very interesting personality, Camiso. He was a botanist. Yeah, botanist who wrote poetry, yes. And they were extremely popular in the time. So it was surely for this reason that Schumann came upon them and then set them to music that is just so lovely and so heartfelt that they've been in the repertoire ever since.
Well, I was talking to Roxy actually, and remember that in one of the points when she has the baby, she says that no man can understand what it is being a woman and having a baby, being a mother. Mm-hmm. But then comes this paradox, because actually the text and the music are written by men. Mm-hmm. And how do you put this paradox in place, above all in the discussion now in the 21st century of women have completely their own voices? How do you think they dissonate, and in which time they would actually consonate with
Well,
us?
the risk, of course, is that if we think too much about these things, then then that it becomes a bit too much. Mm-hmm. But certainly there is that element of disconnect, as telling the story as written by somebody outside the experience. Mm-hmm. But there really isn't a way to show that so much in the music, because the narrator is narrating her own feelings. And this is how I see it as having been composed. So I don't I'm not putting the disconnect, and I hope that Roxana isn't either, putting the disconnect too much out in front. Because the music harmonizes so beautifully with the text.
And then was actually the wedding present from Schumann to Clara Schumann, right? Which actually, if we even see towards modern standards of independence,
well, he finally won the very, very long battle to be able to marry her. The battle being with her father. And he won he had to take her father to court. And he won his case, and then nothing more stood in his way. And this was in 1840, right at the time when he wrote this cycle. So it could be, and it was, as it turned out, of course, Clara was a big, big personality in her own right, and she had her piano career totally independent of him. But they had 8 children.
Wow.
They had 8 children over the next years, and then, of course, then she was taking care of him more and more as he became more ill. So it's, I think she had a great deal on her plate. What that has to do with this particular cycle is, is up to discussion. But it was certainly a happy time in their lives, and especially for him. He always wanted to marry her ever since she was 13. So.
And actually, speaking about her being a mother and a mother-in-law, I remember also one of the songs from the Ravel speaks exactly about the mother's love of a mother that unfortunately lost her son.
Yes.
How are the perspectives of love in the Ravel pieces?
Well, these are folk songs, Greek folk songs from the island of Chios, and passed down over the centuries. And Ravel was asked to write some music for them, write some music for these Greek poems, and then the critic who brought these songs over, made a translation into French for them, and he just wrote some nice, pretty music for it, and they're incredibly gorgeous songs. Some of them very, very miniature, and a couple are a little bit longer than these, but they're lighthearted. They're happy. Actually, they're happy. There also is a religious component in the second song, and a prayer, and then the folk song of the ladies gathering the mastic, which is the product from the island of Chios, and known all over the world, but it originates there in that little island, right off the Turkish coast. And coincidentally, I've been there, so I know. Yes, I've been there. And the souvenir shops, they all sell this.
I've seen this famous tree then.
Yes, exactly.
And how are you, as a conductor as well, how do you feel doing this music together? How does this play into you're born in the United States?
Very much so. You know, I had a class for vocal repertoire for many years at the Hochschule für Musik und Theater here in Munich, and I worked with over hundreds of students on opera, lead, and oratorio, all these different styles, and exposing them to as much of it as can be done in a student curriculum, in a Hochschule curriculum. And it's so important for singers to be able to do all of this, and then to be able to make the differences between opera and lead, and to take each in its own dimension, and of course to learn the texts and the languages and to always know exactly what you're saying at any given moment, because the music is composed to those words. And of course, it helps so much.
Yeah.
Than if you take the music separately from the words.
Well,
So it's perfectly natural for me to be doing all of this. It's a miniature version of what you're doing when you're doing a big opera with a big orchestra, chorus.
do you think it facilitates this kind of dimension, or that it brings more different problems?
Everything has its problems, of course, and everything has its beautiful moments as well. There is lots in Lied that you can find in opera and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very, very much
You're very
for the interview.
It's a great pleasure to be on this on pause series, and it's a great honor to have been asked to be part of it. And I'm very much looking forward to this concert.
It's completely our honor to have you with us. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
I hope to see you all then for our concert number 8, Whose Love, Whose Life.